All right. So again, welcome. I'm Brandi Smith with Perfect 10 PT and Perfect 10 PT Academy. I'm a physical therapist and performance coach, former collegiate gymnast, two-time national championship titles in gymnastics in college. And I work with athletes from recreational all the way up to Olympic level athletes. I help everyone achieve their goals. I treat and look at things very holistically, very differently than a lot of other physical therapists or performance coaches look at. I look at the mind, the body, the spirit, and our alignment with our why, our purpose, our true purpose in this existence. And I help athletes, parents and coaches achieve all of their goals and how to work together to do that. Some of it's through applied neuroscience, some of it's through movement and helping find movement impairments or movement patterns or preferences that are maybe not as ideal to achieve the success or transfer loads that the athlete needs. We talk again about applied neuroscience, and go ahead and promote to panelist Crystal so you can get stuff. Yeah, so we talk about how the neuroscience can help our alarm system and help improve our performance. I use a little bit of basic nutrition. I refer out to some amazing nutritionists and also amazing sports psychologists and mindset coaches for other things. I've created a whole team of Invincible Athlete team members that help me in my Invincible Athlete program, our online course. Our goal is to light as many lights in the world, as many as I can before I leave this planet. So that is ultimately my goal, and help as many people achieve their goals as possible. I believe that athletes can enter a sport and exit a sport healthier, both mentally, emotionally, and physically than they were when they got here, and that sport is a great place for them to experience, learn, and grow. And sport is a vehicle for us to do that and harness all these attributes to become great humans. So today, I'm going to open up the Q&A to all you guys, and let's just talk. Let's find out what you guys want to talk about. So Patricia has in the chat, oh, be sure you're eating, Patricia. Make sure you're eating. I know you're during lunch break. Carla, come on in and promote to panelists. Okay, so it says, my daughter's doing a gymnastics camp. What tips would you give an athlete to get the most out of the time with new coaches and athletes, etc.? That's a great question. So we must be wrapping up some camps for the season, because I have another camp the end of September I'm going to do as well on the weekend in Seattle. And so, yeah, so when we're coming into a camp, like what can we get out of a camp in a short time period, and what does that look like? So I think number one is setting goals and intentions, and setting those goals and intentions not around skills, believe it or not. So not setting a skill goal. Sure, they have skills, they have a list they want to get. That's fine. But that's not their goal and their intention. So I like to have them set I am goals that are based on their mental, physical, and emotional states. So what do I want to experience out of this camp? And so I also like to shift our mindset into like, what outcomes am I going to get? I want them to look at the experience. Like, this is an experience. I'm not going to be judged. I'm not going to be judging myself. I'm not going to, to sit. And it's hard to do, especially depending on the age between 10 and 14, 16 years old. Girls especially are constantly, and even boys are judging themselves against the other person at the camp. So the question is, what can I learn? What do I want to learn from this camp? What do I want to experience? Maybe I want to be more confident on beam. Maybe I want to be, so that might be an emotional goal, like I am confident. And so they write it in the I am statement with a period at the end. So I am confident. That's my emotional goal. Mentally, I'm focused. So they want to be focused. So I'm focused with a period at the end. And then physically, I'm aggressive, or I'm strong, or I'm connected to my body. Or maybe they have a hard time, like they like to leave their body. They drive the vehicle and jump out. Then it's I'm present, right? So I ask them to find things that really jump out at them as to what they want to achieve, and make these I am goals. And it's like, so I ask athletes, like, what's the one thing you could do? What's the one thing that you could do mentally on every single skill, every single event that will help you achieve your goals? Getting a back handspring, getting a whatever, right? And then what's the one thing that if you do this one thing on every single skill, every single turn, every single pass, every single routine, every single event, that you did emotionally, what that could help you achieve your goals? And then what's the one thing, if you did this one thing physically, on every single skill and every single event that would help you achieve your goals. And they start to say, well, but I need this goal and that goal and this skill. I'm like, yeah. But if you were focused on every single one of those, would that help you achieve that? If you were positive in your self-talk the whole time, would that help you achieve that? Would, if I am strong or connected, connecting my rib cage and pelvis together, or connecting from my head all the way down to my toes and my fingertips, would that achieve an outcome on every single skill? If I was calm or happy, having fun, that's a great one because we know the neurochemicals when they're released, having fun, that you're going to be more successful at whatever you do versus self-judgment. I test athletes all the time physically, and there's an Instagram of me testing, positive words versus negative words. And I just tested a bunch of athletes at this last camp. I had them test each other on their negative lion talk and thoughts versus their positive, and every single athlete is stronger. Every single athlete. And what they learned was that words matter, right? Our thoughts matter. So, sure, have some skill stuff that she's going in wanting to train, but the intention and the real overall arching theme, what do I want to experience? What can I take from this experience? And then look at their mental, physical, and emotional goals. And that's where I would focus, is on that. She said, yes, all sounds good. I've started some of this with her, trying hard for her to pick the goals and thoughts without telling her what to do. That is a really hard one. I know, Patricia, especially as a parent and even coaches, we want to like put in the words for them. One thing that I recommend is don't, because you're not in their nervous system and you don't really understand what their brain is thinking right now. And it changes. And if you have a teenager, it changes on the moment sometimes. And so, or on the day. So being sure to really let her get to it herself. I use a worksheet that I have where I just ask them these simple questions, like, what's the one mental thing? This one mental thing that if you did it on every single skill would really help you. And most athletes know. And what's that one emotional thing? And I might give them a couple examples, like emotional, I'm calm, I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm centered. One of my athletes had a special word for being like even kiltered. He didn't want to like keep tapping up and down during routines. He wanted to stay, I can't remember what was the word. It was a college word that is like beyond my, like it's not in my like normal, but it was like some weird slang word that they had made up for this idea of just being even killed, right? And so whatever word comes to them, now you can test them and they can test themselves. So sometimes athletes love to tell me that they need to be typed physically. And I will tell you that rarely, on rare occasion, is that the actual word that's best for their nervous system. So I'll just have them put one arm out and I'll just push down on the arm and I resist them. I'm not trying to force them. I want to say, okay, don't let me move you. And we're trying to match each other. I'm like, okay, just push hard so I can see how strong you are. And then I say, hey, I want you to say, my name is. And so then they put their name, like, my name is Patricia. And then I resist it and they're usually strong. They're almost always strong. So I can feel what strong feels like. And then I say, okay, say something that's false. Like maybe they're a female body and they say, I'm a boy. Or maybe they're a male body and they say, I'm a girl. Or maybe they say some color that's not their favorite color. But I want them to say something that is definitively negative, like not a true statement, definitively a false statement. And so I say, I'm a boy. And then I say, okay, resist me. And they're trying, but they can't. What it is their alarm system. It's just like a way of testing. What does their nervous system think about that? The brain knows truth from false. So if I give them a word that their brain doesn't buy into, or their brain isn't finding helpful or effective, they'll test weak. And they can test themselves, but it's easier to test each other. So I have teams test each other like that. Did that with all the girls this camp, and the camp I did a few weeks back. And what they start to see is how powerful their mind is, how powerful their thoughts are. I'll do it with a positive thought. I'll do it with a negative thought. I am loved. I hate balance beam, right? And they'll be very weak when they say, I hate this. I don't like that. This is horrible. They have negative connotations to something. They will be weak because it's like a lion in their room. And when they have something that's positive and that their brain registers as like, it clicks, right? It really clicks. That verb or that word will give them a positive response, like a strong response. So you can have her test words. If I have an athlete that throws out, I'm tight, I always test it. Like that's what they want as a physical word. And that's usually a word that they've heard from other people. And I'll test it and they'll go, yeah, that's not a strong word for me. I'm like, great. Well, what are you wanting? Aggressive, strong, connected. They start using different words and they start testing them and they find words that they like. So one of the ways I take me telling them out of it, I let their body tell them. So I'll say, hey, why don't we, they'll go, I don't know. I just don't know. And I go, okay, well, why don't we test your body? Let's ask what your nervous system wants. And I'll ask them, I say, what makes me lift up my arm? And they're like, well, my muscles. Okay. What makes my muscles work? My nerves. Okay. Well, how do the nerves get information? My brain. Okay, great. We're going to test your brain to see if these words produce a positive outcome or a positive response, like increased strength. And so I will let their brain, I go, did you know your brain talks to me? And it talks to me through your body. And so when they start having this conversation, they start realizing their brain does talk to them, and that there's a lot of times in the day or throughout a workout or getting ready for something new, like new coaches, new athletes camp, that we're actually kind of like pushing away what the brain's trying to tell us. But our physical body will tell us, I'm nervous. My physical body will be like, I'm really afraid to meet new people. There's new coaches here. What if they don't like me? Like, we'll push that stuff aside. And really our brain, it'll show up in our physical, right? Which will be shaky on the balance beam, or they're not jogging as fast for warm up. Their shoulders are drooped, their head is down. Like, and they're like, I'm fine. And they're not fine. It's just their brain is like not feeling safe or comfortable, or hasn't wrapped itself around something, or it's gotten focused on this is new, this is a change versus I can do this. What can I experience? This is fun. So I would shift all of her thoughts to that, have her in her journal, because I know she has a journal, Patricia, have her in her journal, write down some of the ideas first in pencil, and then test them and say, like, let's find out what your brain says, right? And let's find the ones that are strong for you. And then once you found those strong words, I take them, if they're really identified on them, this is a super cool, like, psychological secret. You take yellow paper, and in red ink, like a red permanent marker or a red pen, write their I ams. I am strong. I am focused. I am joyful, whatever it is. And just pick 3. And then I have them pick the first letter of their words, and they can write them here. They can write them here. They can write them on their forearm. They can put them on their water bottle. Some of them like to put the actual words on their water bottle. Some of them put pictures, like stickers, that remind them of being joyful and strong and whatever, emojis. Like, there's different ways you can do it, but we want to remind them of their I ams throughout their workout. So before they go, they do their I am, they take a nice golden lotus breath, if I've taught you that meditation, and then they go. And they're going to find that they'll be centered so much on their selves that the outcomes of skills just happen. And
so, Brandi, I have a question on that.
yeah,
Is that it's not necessarily negative words, it's just negative words to that athlete, right? Like, for example, the particular word could be a strong word for one athlete and a negative word for another athlete. Is that what you're saying?
100%. Yes. So like the word squeeze or tight, there's a few athletes that those words squeeze and tight actually elicit strength. But there's a lot of athletes, like 90%, that does not elicit strength. It's been overused, or it's created a different highway in their brain, and they're not actually squeezing or tightening. They're not getting it. They actually, if you test them, will test weaker. So yeah, it's good to like find out how your athlete's thinking. And finding out some of these like key words for them are really great, because as a parent, when they come home, you can find out what their I ams were, and you can say, well, so how did you do with your I ams today? And they're gonna say, I totally forgot, or whatever. And you go, oh, that's okay. Like, we get it. Like, it's something new. And then you can remind them like how to use their I ams. But then also some of them might say, oh, I felt like so much more. So one athlete, let me read this testimonial. This was from this last week at camp. This girl, here she goes. So Sophia said to me, when I use my I ams, I made the cartwheel on the balance beam every single time. And I said, well, what were your I ams? She says, I am amazing. I am awesome. I am loved. So her I ams were, I'm amazing. I'm awesome. I'm loved, which had nothing to do with a cartwheel, but she had never made, she said, I was falling on my cartwheel all the time. I couldn't even make one at all the workout before, not one. And she's like, now I made every single cartwheel. And I was like, well, what's the lesson in that? She's like, my brain is really powerful. And if I talk nicely to myself, like I tell myself these things, I actually am very capable of sticking a cartwheel on the balance beam. So I didn't make any of those words up for her. She came up with them and then we tested them. It was like her brain was super smart, like super strong. Like when she tested, it was super strong when she was amazing and smart, awesome and loved. So yeah, you kind of want to communicate with your athletes. And when you have younger ones like you have, Madhu, the words become very simple. Like it's super simple, like I'm loved. I'm having fun. Right. Like and even some of the older kids, it's simple like that. But I would keep it like let her, because her language vocabulary is not going to be as mass as like a 16-year-old, right? Like 16-year-olds and college kids, they have weird words for things like slay. Like even my daughter right now, slay. Like I almost guarantee if I tested my daughter, I'm slay, it would be super strong. Does anyone know what slay is?
No idea.
Yeah. So like slay is like cool. Or another word is I'm preppy. Some of the kids this weekend, I was like, oh, my daughter too is the same way. Like, so they said I'm preppy. I'm preppy, and preppy is I'm cool. And slay is like, oh yeah. So Patricia's like slay all day. Yeah. So for real, some of these slang words that as an adult, like I have no connotation to slay other than that's chill. That's cool. Like,
Like,
but if I use the word chill or cool, my alarm system's going to test strong. I use the word slay. I have no connection to it. They've been connecting it as a social, small social group with energy. So it like makes their brain get excited because some kid says slay and another kid gives positive feedback. They see that. Now their brain is hooking positive feedback to the word slay. Almost any word will work. The problem with words like tight and squeeze is that they've come with sometimes someone's tapping you saying tighten up, squeeze. That's like a lion. Like stop hitting me. like the brain and body is like not
so
finding that positive. So yeah, come on in, Michael.
those
Oh,
those
slay is
generic
let's go.
terms we used to use, could they be attached to negative experiences by coaches?
Yes, 100%. So like it's all
Okay.
Pavlovian. I mean,
See,
the
that's the
basics of
problem
all
I'm
it.
running into.
Yes, you have to
I
be.
tell them to use anything. Like I could say cat, right? And that's what the kid loved was cat, right? And people are like, that's just stupid. It's like they're not of the growth mindset that your brain is a very powerful thing, as I know.
So okay, you guys, are you guys ready for this? This is a super secret, and I won't reveal any names or anything like that. But like I had an athlete. This is so funny. And it was like one of the times I'm a scientist at heart. I don't want to waste any time or energy or money. I want to know that what we do works, right? And so I had this athlete and she kept falling on her flights and then got to the point where falling turned into balking, turned into frustration, turned into I hate balance beam. And it was this whole thing. And her coaches were frustrated. She was frustrated. Mom was frustrated. I'm getting text messages from all of them. And we're working together. And we had already figured out her lion. And we had already figured out her cub. And we had already figured out all these things. And we were working through it. And I finally just said to her, like, she's like, she was just so tired of hearing corrections. Like every single time she went, she'd hear a correction because everybody wanted her to get on the beam, stay on the beam and have a good workout, right? And have fun. So everything was correction, 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 correction. So finally I just said to her, I said, close your eyes. And I like took her through this meditation and I was like, got her really peaceful. And I said, okay, what really fills your cup? Like, what really just lights you up? And she was like, babies. And I said, really? She goes, like 20 babies. And I was like, 20 babies? She's like, I see 20 babies. And I was like, she's like, I want to be a mom someday. And she was like 15 or 14. She's now in her 20s, no children yet. But like, I will not be surprised. She has a large family someday. But like, she was like, babies, they make me so happy. And so I'm looking at her and she's lit up. She's bright. She's smiling. She's like, babies, babies, babies. And I was like, oh my God, okay, how can we feed this baby highway? I go, how does the baby highway feel in your brain when you think about babies? She's like, oh, my shoulders are open. Oh, my hips are open. Oh, I feel better. I feel happy. I feel like she was explaining how free she felt. When she thought about cute little babies, she felt free. Her range of motion was better. Her splits were better. Her bridge was better. We were just playing with like, what does it look like, right? I'm testing her strength. She's stronger when she thinks of babies. And I was like, okay, you might think I'm crazy. I said, but every time someone gives you a correction on beam, and I'm not promoting that people don't listen to their coaches, but at this point, I said, every time someone gives you a correction on beam, I just want you to say babies. Just want you to say babies, babies, babies. So her coach was giving her corrections, babies, babies, babies. And I had tried to talk to the coach. I was like, I know we really want to give her this thing. We need to give her a little more space. Like, but it wasn't happening because we have these like patterns of how we work. And their desire was all good and intentions were really great, but they couldn't help themselves but be like, oh, but if you just tighten this, or if you just, like do this thing. And so anyways, every time the coach said a correction, she said babies. So this happened. So we did literally we did a session. She practiced some babies with like some basics on floor and et cetera. And I said, look, just go to beam and do babies, babies, babies. That day, she hit every single flick lay. She hit every single one. And she had so much fun at balance beam. And her coach was like, what did you do? She like texted me, and her mom was like, oh my God, what did you do? And I go, well, we had this meditation and we kind of found her word or her image for her that like really just lights her up. And mom was interested in what? And I said, babies. And mom thought it was funny. But the coach, I said, we found this image. It's really, really working for her. Like, I didn't have the heart to tell the coach she's not listening to you. But, but at that point, the words of tighten, squeeze, square up, push harder, point your toes, they had lost all of their meaning. They were all connected to this fall off the balance beam, be frustrated. I'm letting my coach down. I'm letting my parents down. They're paying all this money. It had been tied into this negative loop that was not getting the outcome. And so it was so funny. This kid actually loved it and saw so many results on all of her events that she took baby powder and put it in her locker. So her locker smelled like babies. And she left baby powder in her gym bag. And this is what got her through the rest of her gymnastics career, was this concept of babies. It just brought so much happiness and joy to her that it reset her nervous system and allowed her to do what she already knew how to do. So Michael Katz can work. I had an elite whenever we did this practice with him. His idea, actually his thing that lit him up, his image, was tiny little black tuxedo kittens. Not one, but multiple kittens, tiny black tuxedo kittens. And so some of these athletes, what we did is we'd take little pictures and put it on their water bottle or put it on their cell phone, like put it somewhere so that they would see it during training and during times of stress. Like maybe it's physics class and they need to just be reminded of this happy chemical hit. One of the other elites, she lived away from her family. And so for her, it was butterflies out in the fields near her home where she normally was homed. And so that image really brought this state of peace for her and a state of like stability, because that's where she found stability in this world. So every athlete, every person has images of things that bring them strength and stability, things that bring them joy and happiness. And so you like when you find those things, you can tap into them through those images. One of the things that always brought me like strength and stability was my grandmother, my great grandmother. They were always just steady rocks in my life. And so like the image or the thought of them or the thought of doing something with them always brought stability when like the world kind of gets unstable, right? When there's unknowns or lots of change in your life. So these are super great. So Madhu says for her daughter, it's cats. So Michael, tell me more about how you're using the word cats. Like, what do you think about this?
I don't know if you remember, Brandi, but if you remember my first meeting with Arya, she was walking around like a cat, like literally always a cat. So
I love it. So that's a great image to use with her to hook towards things that like she's trying to accomplish. Like like when she has a really nice handstand, she could call that handstand a cat. Like, it just depends though how her images are, because a straight body handstand may not connect to the word cat for her.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but you have to see, but like cats, they land really softly and they always land on their feet. Sticking might be a great cat skill for her, right? What were you gonna say, Michael?
Well, she had it on her water bottle, right? And she was a cat freak. She just loved cats. She loved her cat. So I said, take a picture of your cat, put it on your water bottle, put it wherever you want, put it in your locker. But if everybody doesn't buy into it, it makes it difficult, right? I use one where I I bring them all together and we do like a string. They hold a string with a little stone on it and they focus on it. They don't touch it. They hold it very still and they make it swing forwards and backwards, side to side and in a circle. Yeah. So it was just pointing out the power of your mind, but sometimes they think it's a parlor trick, right? Or so, but it's hard. But this word thing too would be a good connection for me to show the difference in strength when you use the words, right? Because I'm always, would you talk to your friend that way? Like, don't go on that side of the fence. Stop the negativity. Like, you can't go on that side of the fence. Would you carry on this conversation and talk to your friend this way? No, they'd be mad at me. Well, why do you accept it yourself, right? But it's creating those connections, and sometimes they're not gymnastics connections. And if people don't buy in, like, it's like, okay, do you not see the difference in the results? You know, the kid says cat and she sticks. I don't care what she does. And I used to tell my coaches, I don't care if they have to go in the corner and spin 6 times on their head, come back and jump up and down and they stick. Good, do it. I don't care. Like, but people are like, well, we'll look out of place. Doesn't matter, people. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's
whatever's good for the athlete.
Yeah, that's the part. So what's interesting, so I was looking for my pendulum. So Doc Alley gave me a pendulum a long time ago for Christmas, and I have a video of us doing with a couple athletes, and it is the power of the mind, how you can just hold the pendulum and it drops and it'll spin. You can make circles and triangles and all those things. But I did find that they all thought it was a parlor trick. I do the resistance with the arm. Sometimes we'll do pushing each other, but resistance with the arm in particular is easier for them to feel it.
Yeah. Well, I can see them relating way
see
better,
it
because it's kind of like you're doing it. It's like, no, I'm not. Look at my hand. You are focusing all your energy. This is about focusing and how strong your mind is, right? So it is. Some kids buy into it, but I really like this one better, doing a negative and positive words, right?
Yeah, because what
because
happens,
that will really show.
When you have them do it as a team, they'll make sure they're not trying to kill them. The person who's pushing should be pushing the same resistance every time. And even when they get to a strong word, you can push more and they won't break. And they'll go, I was trying, when they do break and it's a weak word, they're like, I was trying really hard, do it again. And so we do it again. And it's like they've blown away.
Right.
I love the question that you asked, and I know we have some parents on here. I love the question that you asked the athlete about, would you talk to your friend this way? And so for self-talk for parents and coaches, would you talk to your child this way, right? Like the way you talk to yourself. So like, I give my daughter a lot more grace than I sometimes give myself. And when I don't give myself the grace, then the words will, slip out in places where you don't necessarily want them, like with your children, right? Or when you're coaching, right? But I love that idea of like how, and I ask athletes that sometimes too, is how would that feel if you said that to someone else? Like, how do you think they would feel? And they would feel really sad. Then why are you talking so mean and sad to yourself? They're like, I don't know. And that's truth, right? It really is truth. They don't know. It either is conditioned or
it's culture.
Yeah, there's a lot of culture.
Unfortunately, like, we're on a big culture swing, and a lot of coaches are having issues letting go that there's way different ways than doing a skill or doing a teaching point. Like, I wouldn't say so brainwashed, but some people have. Like, I've kind of always flown that street, like whatever it takes. I don't care if you have to do a straight jump before you do your back tuck, that's fine. Like, if that's going to help you stick, if that's the prelude. And now we're coming to find that, all this stuff
that science showed us that's helpful.
Know the science behind it, right? It's like, I said, with suck and tuck belts. We had suck and tuck belts back in the 80s. Every kid had suck and tuck belts, which is a tactile thing to pull in your guts. And now, how many years later, Leo's coming up with a whole body compression thing to give you those cues. Yeah. But we know scientifically why it was working back in the 80s, right? And we all stopped.
We had the little compression bands. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You grew up in those years.
I had a belly band. We called them belly bands. And
we call them suck and tuck belts.
So the problem with that one is that we don't want to actually suck and tuck. We know that with the pelvic floor, but the compression from them is really helpful. But another problem was we got penalized if we didn't have them. We got penalized if we didn't use them properly. They got snapped on us.
Right.
So you see how,
But
so
that
it's
was the
interesting.
culture, right?
Right. It was acceptable then. I'm not saying like that that's something that, you know, it just, it was, that was, it was at the time. And,
Yeah.
what I say to that though, is that there came negative, hooks to that. And so when we, with this
Mhm.
compression wear and stuff like that, we do want to use positive hooks. And it was interesting. I just saw a post and maybe, you know I have a couple of coaches on here. I know Brianne is a coach. I know Michael, Carla, we've got, Sean. I'm not sure, Mary, if you're a coach or not, but, I want the coaches to weigh in for a second because, you know, it was funny. I saw a post that said positive coaching. What is positive coaching really? And I have a hard time using the word positive coaching because I feel like it became a little cliche and it's unclear to people what positive coaching is. So I would love, but Michael, like that aspect of what we're talking about, our words matter and this out of the box thinking. What are your thoughts about that? And that being part of our definition of positive coaching.
Well, the thing is, that gentleman is a friend of mine from power tumbling, so I know who he is. So he's been talking to me a lot because he's on the same page with the kids and, letting them have fun, enjoy the moments, do, the silly things. It doesn't, you got a long career. If you want a long career, you got to be healthy. You got to enjoy it. It's got to be a passion, right? So funny you brought that up.
Well, I'm not saying, but I'm also not saying, so I think it's used everywhere. It's not any one person coined term. And I think it's interesting because there's been some connotations to what positive coaching is. So I just wanted you to weigh in. So in your idea, it's doing things that create a space for an athlete that
to grow personally. Personally, full out. Like all my kids have been well. Like they're all doctors. They all are on Cirque du Soleil. They've come back and said it's because what we taught in time management. They all stayed to the end. I've had associations ask me how do you get your kids to stay in the program so long? Well, it's like, one, I don't train stupid hours. Like my kids at 12 years old, they're not training 25 hours a week. Number one, if they have a party, they get to go. If you have a birthday party, go enjoy it. If your grandfather's turning 80, take that advantage because you don't know how much time you have with them. Oh, we're going on vacation. Can you recommend a training camp? Perfect. And I was like, I had told my club just before I stepped down because of the nonsense. I'm like, oh, you're going. I said, I know people there. I'll give them a call. You can go train. It would be a great opportunity, to see. And to me, it's a teaching moment. You're going to go there and they're either going to be doing what you're doing and it's working, or they're not going to be doing and it's not working, right? So that they can self-evaluate and empower themselves, right? The other head coach that was taking my positions was like, wow, there's no better place than yours with your team coach. But I'm like, oh my God, okay, you're going down the wrong road with this. I don't, and even we had a Congress this weekend and I watched the dance, the artistry. And I was thinking, see, this is what we need to do. And then you can give them the options to do their own arms or their own heads and be silly. You are empowering them to do it. And I said to one of the choreographers, I said, you can look and say, wow, that's really good on that kid. And you can say, hey, remember that? We can put it in your floor beam routine. Or, oh, that one over there, that kid did that. That's pretty cool. I'm going to use that somewhere because it doesn't really fit her, but it looks neat. And I know somewhere else where I can put it, right? So it's a teaching moment as a coach, right? And you're empowering these kids to try different head movements and different arm movements. And who cares if they shimmy their shoulders or they don't walk with their arms up and their chin back? It's their chance to say, okay, be creative and empower them in the routine as a kid, as an adult to grow up, that they have options. So that's just my opinion.
So the scientific word for that is called autonomy. And the science shows that anyone who has autonomy performs insanely better. I love this one research study that they did on professional golfers, and they gave them a choice between an orange, yellow, and a white ball. And and then one set of golfers only got the ball that their counterpart got. So they paired them. And one guy got to choose. That guy chose yellow. Well, his partner got yellow with no choice, right? And so what they found is then they had them go play a round of golf. all the golfers who chose balls progressively got better. They were more accurate. They drove further. They had lower scores. They were successful, more successful than the athletes who didn't get to choose. The next day, they gave all of them white balls. Even the athletes who chose the got to choose the day before, even though they didn't get a choice the second day, they got a choice the first day. They still outperformed with accuracy, with distance, with their scores, all those things, than the guys who never got a choice.
Yeah.
And so autonomy is key, and there's always places for autonomy, always. And the research shows it doesn't even have to be autonomy in the specific thing you're measuring. So like
Yeah.
it could be just letting them pick what color gym bag they have, or it could
Oh
be
yeah, no,
they make
it's
their own
about
grip bag.
choices, right? It's
Mhm.
I don't understand that why so many coaches are like, my conversations are usually, okay, your choice. We got this, this, and this. Your shoulders aren't flexible. You know, we got to work on that. This would work better. Well, I don't want that. Okay, well, it's your choice. I'm giving you information. Like, these
Yeah.
are your bonuses. This is your evaluation. These are your deductions. But you have to perform this and want to perform it and do it well. That's the bottom line here, right? So, yeah,
Well, I mean,
it's
a
the
great
same with
answer.
choreography.
Yeah, it's the same with choreography for sure. Like one ways I worked with an athlete just before this, and we had to do a bunch of different variations of a butt up push up, an L push up in there, and we did like arms close, arms wide. We did round up position, regular, elbows in, elbows out, and we were going to do all of those positions, and she knew that. And I said, "Well, which do you want to do first? Do you want to?" And this kid's not used to choices, so I only gave her two. I said, "Do you want to do this one or this one?" And I said, "Do you want to do this one or this one?"
Right.
And I go, "Do you want to take the break early, or do you want to take," because we had another, because we were doing a bunch of push-ups. And so I said, "Do you want to take that?" We had some vestibular exercises to do in the middle. "Do you want to do the vestibular exercise?" She finished the first round. She's like dying. She's like, "This was so hard." And I go, "Do you want to take the break now? Or do you want to wait? We have, 5 more to do. Do you want to wait till the middle?" And she's like, "I want to wait till the middle." I said, "You can pick. We can break now, or you can do that."
Yeah.
And so she chose the break. So because of all that, she had a great session,
Right.
right?
Well,
So
it's about games. I told my coach, I play a game, I call it bronze, silver, gold. Kids cannot lose. Like, they hate losing, they don't understand losing. It's like, okay, dude,
I mean, no one likes
you're
to lose.
competing, right? So I put 3 kids on the beam or on the bar. I usually do strength, I do beam, whatever it is, right? So I do a flex arm hang, and they'll hold it. And the first person drops, I'm like, okay, you're bronze, second one silver, and okay, gold. And I whip through it. There's no value. There is value, but I'm not acknowledging bronze, silver. So it's a straight, you're bronze, you're silver. And you can literally watch the kid vibrating, right? To beat the kid that's silver, but the kid, they're vibrating like crazy, looking over to see who, and it's like, that's their choice to push that hard, to be that resilient, to be that grit. And the crazy thing is, they all come in with sore arms the next day and ask to play the game again, right? It's like, oh my God. The coach was like, she's like, yeah, it was crazy. I'm like, yeah, because they want to do it. It's fun. It's their choice to be determined and fight. It's not like me saying you have to stay up there for 10 seconds. I don't care how long. You could stay 2, you could stay 3. Eventually, as the more games you play, like I play it 3 or 4 rounds, kids are switching and then once I get the 3 kids, I put all the bronzes against the bronzes and all the silvers against the silvers and all the golds against the golds. So now all the golds are either bronze, silver, gold. So some kids care. Some kids are like, I got all golds. Some kids are like, I beat her and she got all golds, right? So it's about choices to push hard and do what you want to do. I'm not going to yell and scream at it. To me, it's just like bronze, silver, gold, bronze, silver, gold. And they ask me all the time to play it. Doesn't matter if I do shin holds, leg lifts, glide swings, chin ups, swinging and chin ups. I do all the different grips, all the different positions, and they're crazy. I just laugh because
it's
sure, we
because
can
it's
play
games.
it.
Yeah, we had Jackie Fain come in, one of my former collegiate coaches come in, and she talked about games, because I said that was one of the most great things in college. We worked our tails off for games. Like, it was so much
Right,
fun. Like, we worked our tails off for games. You
right.
wouldn't even know you were working because you're having fun, right? And so that's
Yeah,
kind of one of the things she talks about. But what I was going to say though about autonomy is the research also shows when someone's given the choice on numbers, they almost a high percentage of people will almost always choose more than what you would have given them.
Right.
So it's just
Exactly.
a matter of like I tell kids all the time, I don't care, do 10, do 14, do 20. Like,
Yeah.
unless I'm
Well,
specifically
I
training
play another
something.
game. It's the same. Like this one's funny too because I play a game with cards. I take a deck of cards and I divide them in four. I put them on the ground. It's like, okay, you're gonna do chin-ups. Whatever card you pick is many you're gonna do. So if you get 3, you do 3. If you get 10, you do 10. All face cards are 10. So they go through the whole deck. I get kids and they pick the Joker, and they're like, "So what's this card?" I say, "Oh, that's the wild card. You can do between 0 and 100." I've had kids pick 60.
That's crazy.
Right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
seriously, are you sure you want to do 60? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my, you're thinking, okay, you had 1 to 10. I'm giving you a way out and you're choosing. So it goes right along because it's not me telling them to do it. If I told them to do 10, they'd never do 10. They do
They
6,
complain
they do
about the
5.
10. They
Yeah,
complain
they
about the
complain
10.
all the way to the bank and they're
Yeah.
so excited. Like, it's like, yes, I got 1, or yes, I got 3. Right. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you do realize there's more 10s than there are the other numbers, but whatever. But they have to go through the whole deck. So the whole
Yeah.
group just keeps picking till all the decks are empty. And the best part is, if one runs out, they run to find the next one that still has cards to pick. Right. It's not like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's insane crazy, but we know
Yeah.
now the whole science of it, why it works, right?
Yeah.
But
So
they
what
get
I'm
smart
saying-
after a while. They say, is this a mic game, or is this like are we going to play like a real game or a mic game? I'm like, what do you mean a mic game, right?
I love it. Well, so one of the things that Sean says is we learn from mistakes and from losing. Yes, totally. And that's where the growth mindset, like if you have these with positive coaching, you can flip every fall from, okay, so like when I have an athlete that falls or they have bands on, I'll say, well, what did you learn? And like, I'm like, what did the band tell you? What did you learn when you fell? Oh, my shoulder was down, my hips were rotated. Okay, great. How do you want to fix that? And if they don't have an idea, are you open to this thing or this thing? How about this? You want to try that, see if that works? And so a lot of times, though, if I've been working with them long enough, and these are obviously not your beginners who haven't done anything. Beginners need a foundation. They need some guidance, and you can sneak these kind of guidances into games and things like this, where you say, like, you know, this is a straight body, this is an arch, this is a hollow, this is a bridge. Like you can sneak them in. And matter of fact, they already are snuck in preschool classes as stations. Like they're like it's not, and everybody's going through the stations for fun, right? So, you know, once you have like a foundation of movement, so for me, I taught some exercises or some movements or things that need to happen, then they can pick and recognize that that works for them or not when they're in the more intermediate, you know, intermediate to advanced phase of learning. When they're a beginner, they need some structure and foundation, but you can put that structure still in a place where they pick. I regularly start, even in this summer camps, I said, hey, so I saw that the energy was fading towards the end of, you know, it's a workout for camp is 9 to like 4:30. And so we were on our last round after lunch and I saw the kids were fading and I had physical stuff with bands and I had some mental work with our cup of joy. And I said to all the athletes, let's take a vote. Who wants to do the physical with the bands today, or they want to do it tomorrow? We're going to do it today or we'll do it tomorrow morning, right now. Or who wants to do the cup of joy? And one group out of the 3 said cup of joy all the way. They were like the teenagers and they needed a break. They had all stayed up too late the night before. And it's because they didn't sleep. They're teenagers. It's the end of summer, right? So I just respected that. And so we did that and they loved it. And the next day they came in and worked their tails off with the bands. And they were so excited. The other ones, the little guys, were like, let's do the bands. They're so much fun. And so we did, and they had fun. So it's just a matter of how you present things.
Oh yeah. I coached in the States for 10 years and ended up back in Canada, and our kids don't work. Like they're so slow. They drag their butts. It's like I'm constantly like, come on, let's go. Let's get to that station. So I started playing games and I've played Jenga with them. I've played Trouble. I've played Connect Four. And it's like, okay, 2 teams. This is it. If you stick, you put 1 cubit and ready, set, go. Well, you never seen kids move so fast to get to
Bop
put
it.
a piece.
Try
right?
Bop It. Have you
Yeah.
tried Bop It? Bop It's a lot of fun because it's a fast moving game, which then makes their brain have to fire, and it'll make them pick up their speed a bit when it comes to working. See, these
How
are
do you,
things you can pick up.
what do you use the pop it in?
So
I
Bop
have one.
So
I
the
have
Bop It game, so you use the Bop It game, and whenever they, so like you can do it a couple different ways. Jackie Fain, we did this in college. So whenever they miss it, right? It's like, so if they win, they get to stay in the Bop It game, but eventually they're going to lose because you're going around, you're passing it. So we do the group Bop It. So they win, they get to stay, and then the next person and the next person, but eventually they lose because it gets too fast and they can't keep track. All the while they're activating all these motor centers in their brain doing Bop It fast. And then when they lose, there's usually like on the board, you can make it two different ways. One, they just have an assignment, they have to follow through and they do something when they lose, or they get one more shot and there's an assignment. So maybe there's like a leap pass, their beam series, their dismount, a turn, maybe depending on what time of season is, first half, second half, or one first, third, second, third. Maybe it's like dance to the leap or whatever, you break it up into whatever the assignment is. And so one way to make it more fun after they did the Bop It, is they have to draw a card or roll a dice that is assigned to the assignment. So then they get one more chance of like picking something different, right? And usually the assignment, maybe just keeping it simple, the assignment has the numbers next to it, ×3, ×5, hit in a row, or just go for it. Like depends on what part of the season it is, like just going for it versus 0.5 deduction versus less than 0.25 deduction versus hit. And that's,
Right.
building up towards season. So, but it's just like, it's a fun little, and that you can have a dice roll and they have to pick, maybe the dice has 6 options on it. And so you have 6 assignments up there. And then maybe when they finish the first row, if there's more assignments, then they have like a second row. There's different ways you can do it, but that's it. When they mess up, they get something to do. But it's fun and it's activating the brain. It will, for those people who are sluggish and are usually at kind of a more even kilter, Bop It is a great one because you have to think and do maneuver hands at the same time. So you're activating a lot of the motor centers in the brain. So it's fun. Sean, come on in. You've been waiting patiently. Positive coaching.
Yeah, as soon as you talked about that, my brain went to, I wrote it down here so I wouldn't forget. Positive coaching is being encouraging to your athlete even when he or she is feeling doubtful of themselves. And every time, ever since I learned it from another athlete that I follow online, that helped me and my athletics as well, is that how to use failure to your advantage. Like what I similar to what I typed there on the chat, is that use failure as information towards the success, and that way that's a positive, that's a way to turn that to turn like negativity into positivity to keep the athlete going, to keep you going towards success, and to see what you did, like what error you made before, to so you can correct it to have the success that you're pushing for.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So like I always ask, so I have this another whole worksheet that I work on where we do like part of our meet wrap up or part of our workout wrap up is like, what did I learn today? And where did I fail? And how can that failure help me win?
Mhm.
So, because the whole point of it is like, how do you do something? How do you get good at something? Do you do it once?
No,
You
you do it over and over because the
over.
body learns from repetition.
Yeah, you do something over and over and over again, right?
You gain the
Well,
muscle, yeah.
so how do I do that and stay what's the word? Stay motivated, stay happy, stay healthy.
Mhm.
Well, part of that is releasing the happy neurochemicals. So if I can
Right.
see the success in every failure, where's my success? What's the success in my failure? So for instance, like, Elon Musk, like he has failed over and over and over again. Michael Jordan's a great one who's been quoted. He failed like over and over. I think they gave him the ball 23 times for the game winning shot and he lost it. He didn't make the game winning shot.
Mhm.
And I think it was like he had 360 something errors. Like he talks about it and he's like, I learned from those failures, which is what made me the most successful basketball player that created, all these things, right? And Elon Musk, like he doesn't have one of those shuttles come down from SpaceX and go, oh God, we lost billions of dollars, we've all failed. No, he says, what worked, what didn't work, what did we learn? And so, that's the concept. It's
Ooh.
like in every single activity, like, okay, here's a drill. Like even as a coach or a parent, I do this as a parent too, but also I do it with athletes. But like, did this work in a large group? How did this work well? And what did I like and not like? Well, at this age group, I lost half of them because there was too much detail here. And the other half were on the trampoline by the time I was trying to get them over here doing the thing. Like, oh, okay, well then I need to break it down into something more simple. The movement pattern was too much at that age range, right? Like I'm learning from these experiences. And as a parent, it's like, did this work when I set up this scenario for my kid to get their homework done or to come home from gym? Or, what I said, did it trigger a happy loop or did it trigger kind of this self-judgment loop? What can I check in with them that they need? My daughter's now in 5th grade. I'm now getting hugs in the car before she jumps out. Whereas I got hugs in front of the school every year up to this. So I understand now, like where she's coming from, what she's at, right? So it's a learning experience, not a failure as a parent because she's
Oh, yeah.
in the car. But now I'm like, so I make a joke. I go, okay, do I get my hug? As long as I get my hug, can I have my hug at home, in the car? I don't care. I just want to give you my hug because I want you to know I love you for the day and I'll see you later. Right. And so, because we're both physical touch love language people, both of us. She wants the hug, but she doesn't want the hug. She wants the hug, but she doesn't understand she wants the hug. Or she wants the hug, she knows she wants the hug, but she doesn't want to do the hug in front of her friends. So, so it's a matter of like respecting and understanding the alarm system and also like learning from the failure. Like I tried to give her a hug day one, day one of 5th grade in front of the school and she's pushing me away. And I was like, well, that was a fail. That didn't work out the way I thought it was, but it wasn't really a failure. It's just learning from the experience of where she is and what she needs. Right.
Yeah.
And so I have to put aside my beliefs of what I think she needs.
I even,
The biggest part with positive coaching is moving the ego a bit in order to allow the athletes to grow and thrive and shift our focus towards the journey and not the outcomes. Outcomes will always come, always.
Yes.
Outcomes will always come. And many of the outcomes we're basing our self efficacy on is our self victory that we're basing it on are actually outcomes out of our control. I don't have control. Like if I'm basing my outcomes on whether my team wins first place, I'm in trouble because I don't have control over all the other teams. I don't have control over the judges. I don't have control over the equipment. I don't have control over outside factors, whether people sleep or eat or don't, or whether they had the flu or got COVID. Like, there's there's so many things out of your control, but I do have control over creating a journey, an experience, a space where athletes feel autonomous, where they feel like they're growing and thriving, where they're meeting their I ams. How can I help support this athlete? I love doing Cubs and Lions and also doing Cup of Joy with athletes because then I know what their actual marker is. If they feel confident or loved or successful or worthy or a part of the team, then I know I've accomplished. If they have felt isolated, this is their line. If they felt isolated, not part of, judged, criticized, I've now tracked the lion and fed that instead of their cub. So I fed the bad wolf instead of the good wolf, which I do a whole story about the bad
Cub
wolf.
the good one? Is the cub the good in the in that analogy there?
The cub is what we want to materialize. The cub is, we have factors in our life, no matter what, that are stressful, right? But when I had a big roaring lion jump in, I'm going to react. My alarm system's going to survive, right? And it's going to do everything to survive. And whereas the cub, it still could be a lion someday, right? But it's a smaller threat. So when the threat becomes smaller and it becomes something that we can manage and something, so maybe I want to be successful. I'm successful. I want to be a leader. I'm a leader. I want to have some of these things, but I can do it in a way that my alarm system is not threatened. I can do it in a way where I'm embracing the journey to the materializing of I am loved, I'm successful, I'm healthy, all of those things. So as a coach or a parent, I just have to ask like which and we also have a whole nother activity about good wolves and bad wolves, but it's like which wolf am I feeding, the good wolf or the bad wolf? Which am I triggering and feeding the lion where the alarm system's elevated, or am I feeding this calm and not necessarily, this is the thing is people think it's got to be calm, but am I feeding the cub? It doesn't have to be calm. It just has to be safe. Just has to be like, it can be active. It doesn't have to be everybody's in the gym going, right? They're playing Bop It and having fun. They're active. They're, you know, activating all their neurochemicals that they need. But these are like questions that I want to ask myself. So what I have here with what is positive coaching, and I love this like concept, this idea. So positive coaching, and then I want Carla to hop in, and then we're going to have to go. Carla, I'm hoping you're going to hop in. That or Brianne, one of you guys, on what your idea of positive coaching is. So I have so far positive coaching, encouraging, empowering, autonomy, using failure to learn from for success. It's about the journey, not the outcomes. And then also I think another thing I got out of Michael and out of Sean was that it's centered on thriving and growing healthy, and that's going to be healthy as in mentally, emotionally, and physically healthy athletes. So it's more centered around the athlete and less centered around the parent or the coach fulfilling a desire for them, right? A lot of times there becomes a heavy desire on fulfilling success, so that like me as a parent, I'm judged, my hierarchy in society or my hierarchy in my family or wherever is judged how successful my athlete is, whether it's all A's or they do 20 different things in their life. They become successful at ballet, gymnastics, and music. Like I've had plenty of those. Yeah, and so it's more about, it's not about my success attached to it, it's more about the success of the athlete and them achieving their outcomes that they desire. So any chance that Brianne or Carla? Yeah, Carla's unmuted. Come on in, Carla.
Hi, sorry if you hear background noise. We're getting all our carpet cleaned at the gym.
Oh,
So-
I'm good. Clean carpet is
Yeah.
good. It's a
Yeah,
thriving environment.
It's beautiful. But I mean, I know me from a coaching standpoint, you know, my athletes, I do a lot of Excel. I'm doing AAU, that kind of thing. But I'm really looking, I mean, from a parent, now that I have my teenagers that are, you know, 14 and 18.
And one
I
headed
just
to
need a
college now.
village. Yeah.
One
And-
elite headed to college at
Oh.
his choice of university for scholarship.
Yeah. Is I just wanted a village to help raise good humans. And learn life lessons through the sport of gymnastics. And it's, you know, need help. I guess you start figuring out, and it's really not about what they do. And I have to say, like when my oldest was like, oh, I don't know, he was like 3. And we started seeing like, oh my goodness, like he really has a knack for this. And the natural abilities like can kind of make you get super excited, and like you kind of go, you know, like all these different ways. And so but we as a family like never posted, like we could have posted him all over our gym and advertised, you know, I mean, that kind of stuff, but we chose to stay very quiet. And he was always one of those that the people that need to know should already know. And that's kind of how we raised him. You know, I may have kind of, I don't know if that was good or bad. Probably some of both. But I think we as coaches, our jobs are to help parents realize that we're trying, you know, to help learn life lessons in a safe environment, because a catastrophe like falling off beams 4 times, or my son fell on his head at a national competition in front of every college coach you could possibly front row seat, and ended up in a neck brace. And like, you want to talk about awful timing, you know, that was his junior year and everybody's watching, and it was quite, and of course from a mom standpoint of view, totally takes you an entirely different route of you know, being super grateful. But I had to compose myself before I saw him and figure out how to respond to that, because if he's going to continue doing the sport, you know, I couldn't make
I
him
believe,
see my
I
work.
believe you told me though, I believe you told me I don't ever want to watch that happen again. I believe that was,
I actually have never watched the video. I've never watched him hit the ground.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a scare. But I mean, I know that he on his TikToks and things like that, I'm not gonna say proud of it, but like he's learned from the process and he kind of makes, I'm not gonna say light of it, but his coach was kind of on the younger side at the time, and he was a little bit, it probably was his first really scary fall as a coach, and trying to help keep him grounded. So yeah, we just just need help. I think our jobs as coaches is to help them be great, amazing human beings, and do the same for their children. I want my children, we gave everything. I want them to do the same for theirs.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, so first of all, I want to say to everyone that your son was perfectly fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
That we connected like that day, right? And got things moving better. He'd already called and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
he was very blessed in that fall.
Yes. Yeah. He was super blessed. And I asked him if he wanted to go home. He said, absolutely not. It was his first skill. Um, out the gate. The first day, the first skill.
First
Um,
event.
first event. Yep. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't have been more proud when you take the chance. We sat there the entire 4 days, every day at the session, and he was back in the back with warm-ups and videotaping other people. And yeah, I think he already zoomed you. I think
Yeah.
he had,
Yeah,
I think he had
we did
texted
sessions
you,
while he was there.
and
Yeah.
he was back there. I think I even have videos of him like doing the PT right off the bat. Like he was really on top of it. And I stood beside just crying because I actually I was more proud of that moment. Um, Probably than if he had made all of his routines. It was a neat way to see um his human I don't know what you want to call it, sportsmanship. And he didn't have any teammates. Like these were just people that he had competed with from other gyms around the country throughout his life that he wanted to stay and support. So
I think, so here's the thing though, is your story, which is why the reason I also wanted to bring you to the wrap of the end of that story, is that that's where the humanist comes. That's where growing a great human comes, right? Like he was able to have a really hard fall. He had to deal with it mentally and physically and emotionally. It was bad timing, so there was a lot there. He also had to deal with talking to college coaches because in one of our sessions, we were finishing PT and a college coach came over to talk to him right then. And he's like, I gotta go. And I was like, do you have an answer? Right? Because he was alone, Carla, and you had
mm,
talked with him enough that he knew how to handle himself with the recruiter at 18. And see, there's so many life lessons in this one experience wrapped up. One is failure in front of everyone. Two, not reaching the outcome you wanted to achieve. Three, being able to turn around and physically, mentally, emotionally take care of that, deal with his own physical body, reach out for the help he needed, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, as well as be able to handle himself as a great human and answer all the hard questions that recruiters were asking, like literally the day after it happened. And then on top of that, the ability to turn around and just channel that energy towards helping others and really enjoyed it. I asked him about it. He really, really enjoyed and needed to be there for those other, they're not teammates, but they kind of are because they've been training and competing against each other all their life. And so, it's this idea of managing failure as a success. And we did do the wrap up with him as to what he learned and what he needed and what happened basically, right? But had that failure not happened, he wouldn't have had such a plethora of like successes. Like to me, all of those things were huge successes. And it's just so awesome. So yeah, I just wanted to, so I'm adding this. So what we have for positive coaching, encouraging, empowering autonomy, using failure to learn from success, journey. It's the journey, not the outcomes. It's centered on thriving and growing healthy, mentally, emotionally, physically athletes. It takes a village to raise good humans. So creating a village environment and culture in your gym and at home, and learning life lessons through the sport in a safe environment. As well as, I mean, we did talk about learning from the failures, but there's just a loving humanness about all of this that I love that what you said, Carla. So thank you so much for sharing. Just briefly, Sean, you can come in. You said you had one more thing, and then Brianne had already said we covered it all. Thank you, Brianne. Sean, go ahead quickly.
Yeah, so something I saw heard from an audio when I was on Instagram, it was probably an audio taken from the the podcast host Joe Rogan, something that spoke to me a lot as an athlete, and in my professional pursuits. The quote was basically, I think he found it from a book. 90% of it is just showing up. You're not going to feel perfect every day. It's probably going to be more often than the times you don't. You're probably going to feel not perfect more than you do feel perfect. And the pro goes to work. So so it's not going to be no training session is going to be perfect. No train, but it's always you're doing the work. So it's all that's when I heard that, that's what got me so motivated. It's like learn to accept that it's not always going to be perfect, and you're working, you're trying over and over again, and that's the success.
Yeah, that's the success. You know, there's a Greek god called Sisyphus. I can't remember say his name, but he's pushing the boulder up the rock up the mountain, right?
Yeah.
And then he slips and he comes back and he pushes it again. He slips and he comes back. He keeps doing it. Like that's his thing, right? And it is that aspect that we just keep working and growing as we go, learning as we go.
Mhm.
There is something called the rule of thirds. 1/3 you'll feel good, 1/3 of the time. You'll feel meh, like just okay, 1/3 of the time. And then 1/3 of the time, you're going to feel horrible. You're not
Mm.
going to like it. It's going to be a bad day.
Push
And
through and grit it out. Push through and
yeah,
suck it up sometimes, and learn to push through the pain.
well, I don't ever really use the word push through the pain because pain is information. So I just ask
Yes,
what
true.
it's
Yes,
telling you.
yes. I don't mean,
So like,
I think I mean it more like that. Yeah.
but you know, like if you're having to work hard, your muscles are sore, then you
Right.
know, then you
Mm-hmm.
have to work hard. So there is this balancing act, which because there's some things I'm hearing from people that are sometimes saying like, well, positive coaching means they're not working and they're not what you know, they're you know, we're pacifying things. Inaccurate statement by 100%. Because you know, athletes can work very hard and push their bodies and their minds and their emotions. So what is the point of sport? Sport is a place where you can stretch your mind, you can
Mm-hmm.
stretch your emotional bandwidth, you can stretch your physical body and
Mm-hmm.
find out where your limits are. So the key is helping athletes find those limits in a safe environment, right? So that they can master their mind and they can master their emotions and they can master their body, because there is no bad emotion, there is no bad thought, but there are thoughts that get me where I want to be, right? Like there are, like a positive thought will get me where I want to be. It's not that that negative thought is bad, it's just a thought. Like good and bad is just a judgment thing, but a positive thought gets me the results I want. Whereas other thoughts may get in the way of my one, which is why Michael and I were talking about
Okay.
like some athletes, a positive thought in my thought is
Mm.
not, that's what I'm saying. The deeming of positive and negative is
Gotcha.
different. Is the thought giving you the outcome you want? Is the emotion giving you the outcome
Okay.
you want? Anger has a superpower of action. Martin Luther King was angry,
Oh.
Susan B. Anthony was angry, Rosa Parks was angry, but they took action from a place of heart. People who take action from their brain with no heart present cruelty and rage and anger and destruction in the world. But people who have anger and they learn how to master that anger with their heart,
Ooh.
they create great action in the world. So someone could say that there was
Ooh.
anger behind me starting Perfect 10 PT and they'd be 100% right.
Interesting.
So I'm going to say someone could say that there was anger behind me starting Perfect 10 physical therapy in 2008 and they are right. So but where did the anger take me? So sport is a place to learn to master your mind and your emotions and your physical body. Where are my limits? And at every age, there are different limits. You can increase the bandwidth. So positive coaching for me is an ability for an athlete to have autonomy and be empowered, be inspired to stretch their limits. And where are they at right now? So the ability to meet the athlete, the human being in front of me who has a mental, emotional, and physical body, who has a soul that has some kind of desire or has a why inside that little bitty body. And maybe they're tiny and they're Aria's age and they don't necessarily know their why yet. Maybe they're Esperanza's age and they're starting to figure that why out because there's a beautiful mom like Patricia who's kind of like opening a space for her to figure out her why. And as they find this, then they start to push the boundaries. So the boundaries start here because they don't know anything. Like even little infants, they're always pushing their physical and even emotional boundaries. How far can I go away from mom before I have a freak out? Then they freak out, they turn around, they crawl back to mom. Usually it's about 5-10 minutes. Like it's not, and it depends on the infant, right? But when we hit this physical plane, that's all it starts. It starts. Watch an infant. They're trying to figure out how to move this body. They're trying to figure out their emotional bandwidth from their caretaker. And, you know, the mental aspect is starting to develop. And so it just develops. And so sport is a safe place for them to master their mind and their body and their emotions, to find their why, harness all these great attributes that they can use in life. And so for me, positive coaching is creating an environment for all of that. And that's respecting the athlete that's in front of me, where they came from, an easy life, a hard life, all judgmental, by the way, a strict parent, a easy parent, whatever judgment, that's all judgmental. They're presenting in front of me with a brain, mind, body, and emotions, right? And how can I help them be the best version of them, take what they can from the sport and recognize and teach them, you know what, just like life, 1/3 of the time you're going to feel great. 1/3 of the time you're going to feel okay. 1/3 of the time you may not feel great. It may be bad. And so then I'll, you know, let them figure out how to grow through the sport by all of these things that, you know, you guys have brought up a bunch of different ways y'all have created these spaces, but there's a lot of ways to create that space. So this has been a super fun talk. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to post in the chat positive coaching, what we just kind of all came up with, right? So to wrap it up, we all came up with positive coaching is encouraging, empowering, autonomy, using failure to learn from for success. It's a journey, not the outcomes. It's centered on thriving and growing healthy, mentally, emotionally, physically athletes. It's not on my attachment as a parent or as a coach or any other outside force to the outcomes of the athlete. It's really just about what the athlete gains from the sport. Using a village, so creating a thriving environment where there's a village to raise good humans. Learn life lessons through sport in a safe environment, and thriving in an environment regardless of the outcomes, right? And one of those things about that village is it's great to know, like, there are normal developmental phases where children will begin to not always have confidence in their caretakers. And that's a normal part of development. It's really great to have a village with a really great coach that they can talk to about social issues or these things that sometimes happen, like just an ability to support them. And again, I'm not saying a coach is a psychologist or a counselor or a parent or any of those roles. They shouldn't, but it takes a village. And that's what Carla is talking about, like having a village. And even just in the world of gymnastics as a whole, as I've grown through adulthood, I find a village in gymnastics in various ways. So that's kind of what we came up with, positive coaching. It may not be an all-inclusive definition, but I'm glad you guys helped me kind of define it. And thank you. So thanks guys for being here this week. Sean has been posting regularly through the chat that I'm going to be at GAT. So I am. This weekend is Gymnastics Association of Texas. It's a conference held in Austin at the Renaissance Hotel. This will be like my 16th year, I think, speaking there, something like that. I'm speaking 6 lectures. If you go to my Instagram, you can see the lectures I'm speaking and when. Sometimes I teach an ITP course. We're not teaching the ITP course this week, this year. We taught it last year. ITP is a training program that I teach. Oh, you're very welcome, Samita. Thank you so much for joining. It was so nice to see you. I want to see you in Davisha soon. Yeah, so it starts on Friday. No, really it's Saturday and Sunday. That's the business meeting starts on Friday. But I start teaching Saturday and Sunday. So if you guys want to come, I'm here in Austin. It is live. You do have to come. It's not going to be zoomed in or anything. But yeah, it's one of my favorite things. We've got a bunch of topics we're going to be talking about.
So, Brandi, you said it's not going to be live because if you go to that website, there's like a video button.
Oh, there's a video button. Oh, I think that takes you to another link. It's not going to be live streamed.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. But you can come and do GAT, but you have to register as an attendee to come.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
yep. And if you're in Austin, some awesome trade show stuff happens there as well. You can get some really great Leo deals and grips and equipment if you're a parent and you're on here and you're from Austin. So and you can go check out DGS. Let's see, the vendors are awesome. Yes, Patricia, that's what I was saying. So the vendors are awesome at GAT. They really are. And if you go there because I'm sending you there, you should say, hey, Brandi Smith Perfect 10 PT sent me just because I love all those guys. So Snowflake Leo is always there. I don't know if Core Leo is going to be there this year or not.
No.
Tumble Track is always there, as well as Dairy's Gym Supply. They
good.
have the wrist braces and stuff I recommend. Carla, come in. What do you need, Carla?
Oh, sorry.
You're unmuted on accident? Okay, it's all right. No worries.
Sorry. No.
I thought you were going to talk about GAT. But yeah, so the vendors are amazing and they always run really great Leo specials. So if you're in the area and you want to do, come check out the trade show. You can come check it out. Oh yeah, and massage guns. Okay. But Patricia's advertising for GAT. I love it, Patricia. She said, oh, you're going to spend lots, but you save a lot, right? So you end up getting more for your money. Is that what you're saying, Patricia? I think so. Yeah. So it's this weekend, Sean. It's Saturday and Sunday. It opens up on Friday. Trade show opens up on Friday. Yeah, you'll be going to WCC camp. I know. Yeah. You guys have a great time at camp. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I'm doing the same free webinar next week, next Wednesday, same time, same place. And we'll talk more, whatever you guys want to talk about. Thanks for joining. Have a great day. If you are interested and you are new, you can go to my free training. I have a free training for all those who attend. It's at perfect10ptacademy.com. And if you're interested in any of my online courses, you can go to perfect10pt.com products page. So perfect10pt.com/products. And you can check out my online courses for parents, coaches, and athletes. They are all hold on one second. I can't spell and talk at the same time. perfect10ptacademy.com. So for the free training, I see a couple of you guys are new. You can go to that link, perfect10ptacademy.com, and get the free training. If you're interested in the online courses, perfect10pt product, perfect10pt.com products/products. You can we have some good specials going on right now with GAT coming up. perfect10pt.com oh, here we go. physicaltherapy.com/product. So there's a bunch of specials going on right now on all of my online courses. And secret reveal, we're about to reveal the taping course. The online taping course is actually published, but the ability to buy it has not been put on the website yet. It will definitely be up by GAT. So keep your eye out if you're wanting to do the taping course, Michael or Carla or Sean. Any of the parents too, you guys might want to do it as well. But I teach you when to tape, how to tape, and how to know the tape is right. So like we do functional testing before and after taping for everything. So we go through all the basic body parts. It's a cool course. And all my courses are lifetime access. So go check out the courses, perfect10physicaltherapy.com/product. And I will see you guys next